Daddy is out and mother is in. Born in the Black and Latino LGBTQ plus ballroom scene, mother was a title of honor and a maternal figure for those who may not have had a mother to accept and guide them. Now it's all over the internet, often stripped of its roots and credit. What are the consequences of terms losing their original meaning? There's a lot to say about the relationship between language and social media, but is social media really to blame? Or is it just shining a spotlight on the cultural appropriation that's been happening all along? Gen Z has fully embraced the term mother, but we think there's more to unpack behind this obsession. Are we starved for nurturing and refusing to grow up? Or is this just one big collective mommy kink?
Bitch, what I was trying to say is this situation got me so wet and so dry
at the same time.
Exactly.
What's up, bitches? Welcome back to another episode of So Wet, So Dry. I'm Fiji, like the island, like the water. I am sick as hell right now, and I work in social media and marketing.
And I'm your other host, Autumn, like the season. I am so wet for Bella Ramsey right now. I cannot stop thinking about them, and I work in entertainment. So the original mother is Crystal LaBeija. And she is a Black transgender woman drag queen who co-founded the House of LaBeija in the late 1960s. That's how far this goes back, and arguably even further before that as well. So Crystal, along with her sister Lottie, established a space within the ballroom scene that was free from the racism and colorism present at the time. The term mother in this context refers to the head of a house, a chosen family within the ballroom scene who provides mentorship, support, and guidance to their children. So mother comes from New York City's Black and Latino ballroom scene. But it's obvious, if you guys go online, that social media users often use the word as a synonym for icon and legend, though those titles themselves hold a different status in ball culture. And so from what I've learned, like this type of mothering, queer mothering, trans mothering, drag mothering, it's very intense and like ultimately a relationship for survival for a lot of people. And this great article from them, which we love, talks about this. They said, queer mothering, after all, refers to a strong maternal figure that literally mothers queer and trans folks, whether it be on a personal level of housing, mentoring, and raising people, or, as it's used more commonly as these days, through guiding an entire generation as a possibility model, like a pop star might. From Pepper LaBeija, a former mother in the House of LaBeija, to late organizer Cecilia Gentili, to GLITS founder Cheyenne Darrow show, mother takes on a whole new meaning when used to describe someone who steps in to raise their community in the absence of widespread social support. And the queer use of mother also mirrors like the actual word mother, where it's like you think of someone that's nurturing and is there to guide and protect you forever. But it just gets deeper when it comes to queer mothering, like in this way, just because a lot of queer people do not have family that can love and guide and support them. So it's just like a lot deeper. And it's just like when you think of it's like online and then like knowing this is like the real mother. And I think even so, it's like a lot of people, like it's all about like you see a lot of white pop stars get this name for sure. And it's like that doesn't really sit right with you after knowing like this information. But it's like even me, like I had to look this up. I didn't know right away where the term truly came from. And the article says, queer mothers extend the role of blood mothers by truly always being there when you need them and taking you under their wing when you have nowhere else to go. And also, most queer mothers are someone who took you under their wing when you needed support and showed you how to live in this transphobic and homophobic world with dignity, grace, and at least a little attitude. And when defining mother, you know, in terms of what it really is and not just its origins, Sleek magazine talks about how the mother is detail oriented, specifically making sure that not only does the individual have the materials that they need, but they are emotionally in a state where they can be a formidable competitor. Because where it comes from, it's not just about like emotional nurturing, like it's also like building someone up to be like in the drag and ballroom space and kind of like guiding them towards that. Like, this will help you, and like this community welcomes you, and like building up their confidence too, you know, like it takes on like, and sometimes it's like when you think about it, it's like the sort of like blood mothers, like as they talk about, like sometimes you can't be as open and emotionally raw like with your immediate family. And sometimes chosen family can offer you something new. Like you're not as afraid in that way. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it also parallels like actual mothers in like households. Because I feel like so often we say like fathers are like heads of households, whatever. But it's always really the mothers, the grandmothers, the aunts that are like pulling shit together, like planning the barbecue, making sure everyone gets to school on time, like making sure you have all your supplies, like da-da-da-da. So it makes sense that it would be the same in a ballroom community.
Exactly. And the emotional piece and the nurturing are like really, really big, like in terms of like that emotional support as well, which is what you think about when you think about how mothers should be like with their children, quote unquote.
Right.
And then we also looked into this awesome article from Time, which was awesome. And I said it was awesome twice. And we're done. Okay.
That's so awesome.
And also from this article from Time, it says the ballroom house system follows a kinship structure where trans women, trans and queer men, and drag artists become mothers and fathers, creating their own families or houses. You have mothers, gay fathers, gay siblings, gay uncles, etc. There are actual lineages that you can track, and they are in lieu of biological families who have often disowned kids, says Ricky Tucker, author of the book, and the category is Inside New York's Vogue House and Ballroom Community. So like trackable lineage, not just like, you know, chosen family that goes down for generations. And I just think that's fucking
so
beautiful.
Cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned before, like this is very much attributed to the 1960s New York ballroom culture, but it actually does go back even further than that as well. In the 1880s, the first recorded drag pageants emerged in the U.S., which primarily took root in Black queer communities and were in large part pioneered by William Dorsey Swann, a formerly enslaved organizer and performer who fought publicly for queer people's right to gather, becoming known as the Queen. Terms like mother, vogue, and even strike a pose have been traced to these initial drag balls. It's like drag speech and culture is like so intertwined with like everything, and it's like I just like I didn't know that mother was a part of that. Like I feel like it is way more than I like thought it was, and it's just like
and I love how like the queer like community and like language is like flipping traditional gender roles on its head, because we think of like America like the fucking founding fathers, like that you always hear that like founding father whatever. It's flipping it, and like the mothers are the ones that are like building these communities.
Right. And that's why it's just like the irony of the whole situation of it like really trending among like everyone now, like using that word in like times like this or whatever, when it's like we like really need that. Like we need to uplift mothers in general.
And
but
community.
Like this word is like so rooted in like history and like emotions and like trauma, but it's also just like such a beautiful word and like represents so much for the queer community. Like it's really, really deep. And then it says, looking back even further and outside of the United States, some of the first recorded queer uses of the term mother date back to England's 18th and 19th century Molly houses, or meeting places where gay men and gender nonconforming people could gather to seek safety, find community, and cruise. Margaret Clapp, a straight woman, ran a Molly house out of her home and was known as Mother Clapp to her patrons due to her mission to create a safe meeting place for queer people in the 1720s. Like, this shit is just so cool. I'm like, I fucking hate history. Like, I think it's so boring. Like, I literally, like, want to, like,
I like history.
I know, but I think this history
because this is the real history that we don't fucking learn about. in schools. And it also makes me think of like the house mom at strip clubs and
Bro.
clubs and stuff like that too. Like the one that has like your tampons or your lip gloss or your fucking like
Right.
deodorant, like
Right.
whatever.
And it's just like so crazy because like motherhood in general is like so sexualized, but like it's also something like so sacred and like holy
Yes.
to a lot of people. And it's just like so many things, but I feel like this is like something I really didn't know about, like how deep this term went in the queer community. And I forget what episode we were doing, but we were something like everything is drag, like life is all
party
culture. And this made me think of that same thing, like this quote, because I know it's talking about mothers in terms of what we're talking about, but it's also like mothers are drag queens, like in a lot of ways too. Like, I don't know. But it says mothers are drag artists who take on the task of teaching, guiding, and protecting people who are getting their start in their world, sharing their wisdom, experience, and advice with their baby drags, as are all called from the arts forms novices, independently of their age, those who help others to develop their identity. Within the context of the era's LGBT+ people in the United States, it became easier to explain the importance of the queer scene through these mothers who functioned as a mechanism for creating community and safe spaces for socialization. So now I feel like we all collectively have a good understanding of where this word comes from and like what it means to the queer community, the Black community, the drag queens, kings of the world. But on social media, it's a lot different, and it's a lot less just like free for all, like mother this, mother that. Like anybody could be mother or mothering at any given
Someone has a cute
time.
outfit on and they're like,
And they're mothering.
mother.
Yeah.
But that is not like the deep community shit. They just look cute. Like,
Right. They just look cute. Exactly. And like the biggest names I think of when I think of like this mother idea on social media, like is Beyonce, Taylor Swift, and Renee Rapp. I feel like that's what I see the
and
most.
Ethel Cain.
And
I see
Ethel Cain that you said. Yeah. And it's like, it is like a lot of pop stars and a lot of, and like Lady Gaga, for example,
Yes.
is mother. A lot of times.
I think Lady Gaga and Ethel Cain and Renee Rapp, they at least have connections to the queer community too.
Totally.
And they are kind of driving culture, artistry, music in certain ways. Like Taylor Swift, I don't know, people think she's gay, like,
Bro, that
there's
is
the
so
conspiracies.
tired. I know.
Yeah.
But she is like, and it's like a lot of pop stars with huge fan bases. It's like they are mother to them and they are their children. But basically, as we're saying, yeah, the term is most commonly applied when an artist does something inspirational or innovative, but can also note when they've done everything perfectly, offering an elevated interpretation of the traditional. Were you called mother? It doesn't mean you're old or fit any parenting stereotype. It's a sign of respect and appreciation. Anyone who is serving, owning, eating, crushing, killing, cooking, or giving could be mothering. Take it as a compliment. So it's very widespread, and I guarantee you most of the bitches on there do not know about the real history of the word that are using it. And this was kind of like echoed in Reddit. I really liked this. So this is like, they were replying to something and someone was like, what is mothering? Like, what's going on? And basically they were like, y'all are confusing like mother for like a mommy kink. Okay. Because the two go very hand in hand.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about it more, but like a mommy kink is a lot about nurturing. This is like nurturing, idolizing, legendary. Like the lines can get blurred pretty easily, I feel like. But they said, y'all are confusing people expressing or pretending to for laughs, having a mommy kink, and people calling iconic individuals mother, which comes from Black gay ballroom culture. Mommy, usually a reference to mommy dom kink stuff, and then mother, iconic person that you're a fan of. Fans are their children. The person is usually someone beloved by the gay community also. So, yeah, I think people do confuse it a little bit. I definitely do. And we asked you guys, like, are people confusing this with mommy kinks? And 82% said yes. And 18% said no. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just, like, noticing it, you know? And, like, I've never really been into mommy play, but I definitely am into daddy play for sure.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, I don't know. I think it's weird that it's like, it is kind of about the same thing in a weird way.
I voted that they weren't because I didn't even really like think about it that deeply. But when you put it like this and I'm thinking about how people comment on stuff, I'm like, I do think they are confusing it.
Yeah.
You know? Because people will be like mother and then like say something else and like make it sexual.
Yeah.
You know?
I know.
Then it's not the same thing.
I know. We do sexualize it a lot. And like I sexualize things a lot too. Like I get it. But I feel like but that's the thing, it's like people don't take the time to look into it, and it's okay, but it's like I just feel like if like the boundaries crossed when like you're not like knowing about the information and you're just kind of like saying mommy everywhere. Like I guarantee you, like there's definitely people it rubs them the wrong way if that term is like super close to them or what have you, whatever.
Right.
But we asked you guys too, do you like to be called mother? And 10% said yes and 90% said no. I said no. Like, I don't want to be called that personally.
I think I said yes. I think for us as people who are creating a podcast, trying to build a community, to be called mother of something would be like a compliment if it was used in the right context. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, like the mommy kink stuff. I mean, I've had friends comment like mommy, like da-da-da, like on pictures. And I take that as a compliment too, because I know they're like kidding and like joking and whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I guess I never really like thought about it, but I think I know that people mean it as a compliment, so I don't mind it.
Yeah, I think they do too. Like it's all like definitely positive. Like people are really loving that word, which like is interesting because of like how society views mothers at the same time, which is like not in the best light. And we are definitely going to talk about that a lot more. So moving on and talking more about this like idea of how language runs wild on social media and like what do we do about that, or how do we like think critically about that to like make social media like a better place too, because it's obviously here and is like only going to evolve. And so just like thinking about like what all of that means. And this article talks about how, it's often people talk about it about white pop stars, like they are the mothers and they're mothering. And they said Black queer culture has always been at the forefront of creating trends and introducing new slang. The main gripe I have with this is that people seemingly can't just enjoy our contributions. They have to own it. And that's a huge thing with white supremacy. It's like you have to own it. It's not enough just to like congratulate it, give grace to it, follow it in a way. It's like you have to take it and make it something else.
Colonize it.
And then it pops off once you do that, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like it's nothing new. It's just another example of what's been happening forever. And from the Time article too, it says, to some, the addition of mother to the internet's lexicon has detracted from the meaning it bears in the greater queer community and ballroom scene. Tucker says that it's part of the natural evolution of words. The definition of a word is never fixed, hence the multiple definitions we have for every word. But even if you think of the actual word mother, that's nothing to be taken lightly. To a lot of people, their mothers, that is their God, especially if they're secular, then that is their creator. And then another kind of opinion on it, this woman named Sophia, she recognizes that the word is being appropriated by those outside of the queer community, but takes no issue with the internet's use of mother. She says, language is messy, and with how often I see people using mother when talking about women they idolize, I'm fine with it. I think it's fun. What I appreciate is the reference for the goddess that we see in people. And then it said, regardless of who is bestowed the title, Tucker calls it a shame when words with such important meaning to a particular community become diluted. He says, now I don't think ballroom is going to stop using them, and I think ultimately the world might just move on. But I think it has the greatest function in the queer community when it comes to the adoption of queer youth who have been displaced or disowned by their family. That's the real kinship structure. That's the real everyday value of it. And there's actually a sort of term for like when words lose their meaning like this, and it's called semantic bleaching, okay? Which is
bleaching, white.
removing the power laden and political connotations of a term in favor of cuter, more apolitical uses. And I feel like that is exactly what's happening with mothering. But I'm like, I know it's like sometimes it can just be jokes. And at the end of the day, like, mother can have so many different meanings. But like, if we're gonna be real with ourselves, like, obviously it didn't come from like Taylor Swift's lineage and like her family. So I just like, I don't think it's a problem that people are like mother this, mother that. But I do feel like that's exactly what's going on. Like, it's something like historical and like rooted in something deep, and it's just like to be made cute and like slang, you know?
Right. And then part of me is like, isn't that it's becoming so widely used and all of those things, isn't that in some ways the goal too? Because it's like these mothers have driven communities so much that it's like bled into the mainstream, and now we're flipping gender roles and rethinking how we see mothers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's becoming like, because honestly, like, when I think about how I've used the term mother in the past, like, I remember when I would be mad at my mom or whatever, like, my mom wouldn't let me like go sleep over someone's house or whatever. I was like, my mother wouldn't let me, like, I would change her name to be like mother, because like I saw it as like a more like stern, like negative, like versus like mom,
right?
You know?
Yeah.
But now thinking of mother, I think just has like a completely different context. So like the word is almost like doing what it's supposed to in certain ways, but it's still important to give that credit where that credit is due, because otherwise it's like,
yeah.
But we know America doesn't like to write history the correct way.
Yeah, so. But I do think it is like a good thing that it's becoming more widespread, like you said. And just like simply because of like how we look at mothers in general. Like, they're not, like, we don't think they're sexy, quote unquote, you know? And like now it's like mothering is like you're eating, like you look really, really good. And it is about like you're powerful. Like, moms are so powerful. They do so much. We look at them like they're superheroes. And so now it's just like, yeah, like in a positive way, like it is good that we're using that word so much, because there's so many other words like this. Like, even like the use of just like queen, like calling everyone queen, you know? It's just like that obviously came from this culture as well.
Right.
And so, and it's like, you know that. And I feel like everyone watches RuPaul's Drag Race and thinks that they can just like say whatever they want, you know?
Yeah.
But like what you're saying, it is a good thing to be able to like spread that, because at least it's like breaking through the mainstream. Just like how we were saying, like, it's okay that there was like a white director in Anora, because it was that like got it to where it needed to be and the story was told and things like that. But it's never going to be perfect, because also, like, do we really want there to be a white director with that movie? No. But it is what it is. It's like baby steps forward, essentially. There was also this great article about mothering in the New York Times. And it's like, not only is it on social media, but it's also in like branding and marketing. Like, companies are using that to be like, she is mother or whatever. And like, that is like also something different, because then it's like from a capitalistic point of view even more so, and you're kind of still culturally appropriated the term just because you're not saying where it came from.
Right.
And so this article talks about how Black culture is American culture, and it ends up informing literally everything. Mm-hmm. After seeing Variety tweet that Jennifer Lopez is
oh my God.
And BuzzFeed UK say the Yellow Jacket star Melanie Linsky was so mother, Professor Bailey said he found himself troubled. It's about marketing identities and practices and appropriating cultural formations like the ballroom community without attending to the conditions of which ballroom was created for in the first place. So yeah, it's like that is like has a little bit more bad taste in your mouth, because it's like they're using it as like a marketing ploy, which again is nothing new. Like, it's trending and people love it, so they're going to do it. Like, it's a smart strategy. It's a smart strategy. I'm just like, okay, I'm done. But it's a smart strategy, because the queers and the kids, like, everyone's eating it up. Like, mothering, mother, it's having a very big moment. It's a smart strategy for marketing companies. And I already kind of talked about it, but like this definitely has a lot to do about RuPaul's Drag Race too. Like I feel like straight people love drag, queer people love drag, like these drag shows, everybody loves drag. So like, yeah, it's going to be at the center of everything that is cool. You know what I mean? Like everyone and their mom watches it. And even, I didn't put it in here, but there was one article and this drag queen was talking about like there's nothing we can do, like everyone's gonna watch it, like straight girls with their boyfriends, like they're gonna watch it, they're gonna pick up on things and do it, like it is what it is, you know?
No, because it's really like drag culture, queer culture, black communities lead everything that's cool. Like when we talked about partying, when we talk about language, like everything that is cool is because of them.
Right. And it's just like, what do we do? Like, do we just let it be like just a silly trend and like it's fine? Or do we just like, this is just going to keep happening? You know, it's like, what can you really do?
Well, I think that's like more important for like just the acknowledgement and the credit of like where it's coming from, which is like so important, especially today when we have things like the Department of Education fucking being defunded and Trump and like getting rid of critical race theory and all of that fucking stuff, because it's like we're losing, they want to erase and bleach or whatever they talked about, like the fact that all of these things come from those underprivileged or whatever communities.
So it says the enormous global popularity of RuPaul's Drag Race has helped to popularize language that was I like can't fucking I've mispronounced so many words and I just don't even care right now. Okay. Has helped to popularize language that was previously brought to wider attention by Paris is Burning, Jenny Livingston's landmark 1990 documentary about ball culture. I think what we're seeing with Mother blowing up Twitter is the latest and age-old story of white gays borrowing and misusing queer AAVE, which eventually jumps to straight people, he says. This process has changed and accelerated over the past decade with Black and Latinx American drag becoming commodified globally via Drag Race, which is how we get, say, white, cis-het English women talking casually about serving realness or throwing shade. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, if you really sit with yourself for a second, like, it's like AAVE is everywhere. Like, it's literally fucking everywhere. And like, unless like you as like a white person or a non-black person takes the time to like look into that, you're never gonna know, because that's how mainstream and popular it is, you know?
Yeah. It reminds me of back when, remember, Yaz was a thing? And, like, that comes from ballroom culture as well. And, like, all white girls everywhere in America, I mean, myself included, were like, yes, like, completely missing the fucking point. And, like, honestly, lately, I'm seeing it. Like, I feel like an old head saying this, but, like, on TikTok, like younger people, like younger Gen Z, like white girls, I've seen them like imitating like AAVE, even like mannerisms, facial expressions, like words. And it's just becoming like TikTok trends, like TikTok, like, you know what I'm saying?
And it's like so weird to think about. It's like, it's a trend just to like be black, imitate, or act black or imitate. Yeah. And it's like, and there's obviously not one way to be. So it's just fucking weird. Yeah. Like, it's like, what does that even really mean? And part of me is like, A, either it's getting worse, or B, it's like, I was exactly like that and it really isn't worse. And like, everyone has just always been like that. Like white girls, I mean, because I feel like they kind of have. Like, I don't know if it's worse now. I think it's just like more it's in your face. Things.
Right. Yeah, I think because culture now, like it used to be like more monocultures or like hubs of cultures, underground communities, whatever. And now we have TikTok where it's like your algorithm, you could just be swiping on something, like something and end up in a new algorithm. Like I remember like have you seen the whole thing about like gingers are black now?
Yes.
Like that whole conversation, and then like the black community and the ginger community are now like becoming like friends and like talking about shared trauma and like
so
all that
many
stuff.
Videos like that. Yes.
Right. Yeah, it's like a whole thing on TikTok, but there's other examples. Like there was something about like, I remember one white girl had posted like, I'm so deep in black TikTok that I like found out about like some type of hair or whatever. And then, but then like in the comment section, some black women are commenting like, oh my God, like we welcome you here, like whatever. So in some ways it's like nice.
Yeah.
But in other ways, then you have people who take it too far. Like like some ginger like wanted to use the N-word, like use the N-word or something like that, and then it's like, okay, like now we've overstepped,
bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and even some of the videos of gingers, I'm like, all right, guys, like we still have like white privilege as like white people, you know?
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah,
I don't
like
know.
you
Like,
can
it's
only
weird.
take it so far. Exactly. Like it can be like a joke or whatever, but at the end of the day, yeah, it's so crazy. Like, because gingers really are like, there's like the myth that there's not that many, but like there is actually, like that's false.
Well, it's like historically, like gingers and like Irish people and stuff like that were, you know, enslaved as well, or like
Right.
colonized, and like all of that like history, and then are also like treated differently because of like their hair.
But no, I'm glad you brought that up too, because it's like we do look at TikTok where it's like, oh my God, like trends are going like wild, and like, but it is a place for like positive community a lot of the time too, and people commenting things like, we welcome you with I can't do this. I literally, and people being like, we'll welcome you with open arms and things like that. So great. Awesome. Fantastic. But moving on a little bit from the origins and the deep meanings behind mother, this does kind of have me thinking about, like, you know, we always talk about the infantilization of like Gen Z, and like people are like sad and like struggling, and like just like this need for like nurture and like reason to keep going. Because the way that people like literally like bow down and have these parasocial relationships with like quote unquote mothers like Taylor Swift or Beyonce or whoever, like it's intense, and it's definitely obsessive as well, I think. And basically this article from Vice talks about how daddies are out and mommies are in. Okay. So, and also Meghan Trainor had that song, like, I am mother, you listen to me. Like, there's like a lot of appropriation of the word.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
It's like she declared herself as mother, and then it's like, well, people are actually, like, she is an actual mother. So like, you know, but it's just fucking weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause it's such a broad,
Because she's another white pop star. But the article says, clearly we're all refusing to grow up, instead choosing to attach ourselves to every matriarch we can find and latching on desperately for dear life. It's not just our questionable parasocial relationships with celebrities that are on the rise. We're also keener than ever to play with mommy dynamics in the bedroom. According to Google Trends, searches for mommy kink have increased exponentially over the past decade, peaking in 2021 to suspiciously coincide, in my opinion, with the rise of excuse me, mommy, sorry, TikTok meme. But what actually is a mommy kink? Is it genuinely on the rise? And why is it getting us so turned on? And like, I think it's cool if mommy kinks are on the rise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like this whole thing about like, we really don't look at, like, yes, there's MILFs and things like that. But a MILF in like the patriarchy is someone that like, their body fully recovered right after pregnancy. They damn near got out the hospital bed and right onto the Victoria's Secret runway, like as if that's even humanly possible.
Right.
You know, and I feel like the parts about motherhood that are like real and like emotional, not even just talking about mothering in the queer community, but just in general, those parts are not often like celebrated as much as like, you know, how they talk about it. Like, it's just not good. But I did look up mommy kink on Urban Dictionary, and it's basically a sexual romantic attraction for women who care for you, protect you, and nurture you, and love you unconditionally. So like the whole aspect of nurturing in mommy as a kink is also huge, just like how we talked about it's huge within the queer scene as well. Do you have a mommy kink at all, or no?
No, I don't. I mean, thinking about it now and reading this, like, I mean, I feel like I do like to be mommy-ish towards men, like even the baby girl thing, like nurturing, like whatever, like in a way. But I think I would be like thrown off if someone called me like mommy in a like serious way.
Yeah, I think like my first girlfriend, like she was into it for sure. I don't specifically remember, but I think I definitely have like said that to her a few times. Not because I like was super into it. Like, it was more so for her, but it didn't like turn me off where I was like, this is fucking weird, you know? But I always like, and I read a lot about the kink as well, because I always like get in my head like, oh, like I just like incest, like that's fucking weird, like, you know what I mean? But it's not really like that though. Like,
I mean, it's the biggest porn category. Like, you're not alone.
But really arguably, I'm like, you like daddy, like what is that? But I'm like, because these terms, like especially in the kink sense, like they aren't really gendered. Like anyone could be mommy. It's not anyone like for real, daddy, like you birthed me, like, you know what I mean? It's just like someone that is gonna like protect you, nurture you, like that is really hot, you know? And that's what people want Renee Rapp to be for them. Like it is getting confused with a mommy kink for fucking sure. But this young person named Jordan, who's 25 years old from Chicago, likes the kink because they grew up desperately needing to feel like someone cared about them, loved them, would protect them, and hold them when they cry, and tell them, you're a good girl and you made me proud. They said, I definitely don't think fractured parental relationships are the catalyst for everyone who's into this, but I've also seen a lot of gay girls with similar experiences. And I feel like with the whole like daddy thing, it's like, I do have daddy issues. Is that why I like it? Like, do I want, you know? So I think it definitely like plays into it. But I agree. I don't think you have to like be completely damaged by your parents to like have this like sort of kink. Like they might not have anything to do with it, but maybe they do. I don't know. And it's just a lot of articles seem to think that like Gen Z and specifically are like lacking this nurture. And that is why they are really just like going in on these parasocial relationships and like declaring everyone as mother. But I don't know. I feel like we've always kind of been like that, like idolizing people. I think just the language is a little bit different now. But I don't know. Do you think it has anything to do with that, or do you think it's just a
like
term?
Needing nurturing?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Like,
I feel like nurturing
intense?
does seem like a big theme because we talked about that in our baby girl episode too. Like, I feel like there's something about Gen Z that's very like unable to make like deeper level, like more intimate like connections and stuff like that. And like the mommy is like the closest connection you can get. Like you came out of her body, or like you were held on her like breast, like you breastfed, like fucking whatever. So it's like, I think maybe like, yes, like our generation is like yearning for like deep, more intimate connections.
I
or
think
something
so
like
too.
that.
And it's like the lack of connection that we have, like the lack of community. And even like what we talked about in our wrap-up episode, how like everyone went to the Lorde concert outside, but it was like low-key awkward. And I feel like, and the article talked a lot about like people commenting and being like, mommy, step on me, I need you. But it's like, are they doing that in their actual relationships, or are they just commenting that on social media? Like they're not like really living out the mommy kink for real.
Yeah,
so it's like
a
performative joke in a way, or like a joke, you know? But
yeah,
overall, like I do just think the irony of the whole situation is that like our society doesn't look at mothers as something that you would be like worshiping to. And I think that's something that like, that's why language is powerful, because right now it very much is. It's like such a high compliment that you could give someone. Like when you think about motherhood, you think about like the stereotypes of your life being over, like there's postpartum, like your body looks different, like you're just gonna live for your kids, your sex is gonna be horrible, your pussy's gonna be like loose, like, you know what I mean? Like it's just so much, like childbirth is gonna be the worst time of your life, like you're gonna like do a lot of gross things, and like your partner's gonna be right there watching. Like I don't know, it seems like a lot. So,
and that's why I feel like we need to put more of an emphasis on the fact that like mother is like a high compliment to give, especially nowadays where it's like a lot of people don't want to actually have fucking children because of like and the whole birth control, the whole abortion situation going on. Like people, I think there has been a trend on TikTok too where a lot of women have made lists of reasons why they don't want to become mothers.
Yes.
And everything like that.
And the
or
irony
also
of
like
that.
everything that happens. Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, I think we're finally like recognizing how big of a fucking role being a mother is, because it's like exactly like when I think about like my upbringing with like my mom and stuff like that, like my mom was the one like doing everything, like planning everything, like keeping the household
And she still
the
does.
fuck together. And I'm not alone. A lot of people, like your mom is
I
similar,
feel like that, like it would fall apart without her. And
Right,
like Issa
like-
says that all the time. She's like, thank God, because it's like someone's got to do it, you know, and it's
Right.
always a mother.
And they don't get the credit for
Right.
it a lot of the times either. And we just look at, like, I mean, how we look at women in society that age. We look at men like, oh, they can age and still be like hot and like attractive. And I think for women, a lot of times we think like, oh, like we have a clock, or like we're only going to be beautiful for so long, or like we're going to be like, you know, like there's so much
Exactly.
bad about like women and mothers and whatever. So
Right.
in a lot of ways, it's like a really good thing.
Yeah.
That we're like putting it on this pedestal, but we're getting it just a little bit confused.
Yeah, but it's like, it is good because in that way it does parallel what it means like for the queer ballroom community. Like it is of the highest compliment. It's huge shoes to fill. Like
Right.
I read an article and then Drag Queen was talking about how they had a mother that saved them, and then they like connected with someone who was like their child and they were their mother now, and was like, oh my God, I didn't realize like how much like not pressure that would be, but it's like such a like important relationship, and especially like
Yeah.
with the queerness and like guiding them, and like my little brother too like is queer, and like we have the same parents but they're not his biological parents, and like he's always like he has a lot of like mentors and like people he considers, because he doesn't have a father either, he doesn't know his father, and it's just like being queer and black on top of all of that, like you need
Yeah.
people like that. And it's so important. But yeah, in that sense, it's like it being like there's a lot of positives to the situation. Like I feel like a lot of times when we talk about words getting tangled on the internet, it's like really bad. Like you shouldn't be saying that. And I do think to a degree, like mother and mothering, like is kind of AAVE in a way. I'm not saying I don't think white people should say it. Like I don't think that's true. But I
Yeah.
think like they need to be educated. Like that's the boundary. Like you just need to know where it comes from. And that seems like something so simple. But it's like
Right.
we're just not like programmed to like do that, especially as white people. Like you have to actively make the choice, which again seems simple. Like just fucking look it up. But I don't know. Now it's just like, and I feel like this always happens with these episodes where it's like now every time I see someone like a white girl comment mother under like Taylor Swift, like I'm gonna get the ick a little bit because I'm just gonna
Yeah.
be like, Jesus Christ, you know? But the Vice article also brought up the Madonna whore complex too, and talked about how motherhood is only a kink because we separate it so much from sex and sexiness. The Madonna whore complex is all about how a woman can only be two things. One is super sexy and available for sex, the siren, if you will. And the other one is the mother, who then becomes pure and is all about raising the family and niceness. So, like, that plays into it a little bit, too, because I would argue, like, the mothering going on TikTok, like, it doesn't really have a gender. Like, I don't think it is
Gendered.
yeah. I don't think it is gendered in that way. And I feel like it does represent a little bit of duality, because it's like someone can be looking good, like they're eating, or they just did something like super influential. Like, you know, I see people comment like mother under Drew Afawalo's TikTok like all the time, because a lot
Yeah.
of people believe that she's like leading or like started somewhat of like a revolution and was like doing things for people of color and women.
Because she
and, like,
was protecting a lot of women and like
Right.
uplifting them.
So it's like in
yeah.
that sense, like, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
it's like that. But also like she's really hot, and like people think she's mother just because of that too. So it's like the duality of those two things I think is cool.
The quote from Vice on like mother, like the Madonna whore complex, is so interesting too, because it's like, I think in my head, like I differentiate mother and mommy kink so much, because like I don't think of like mother and mothering as sexy or anything like that, but like mommy, step on me, like that stuff, like I do. And then that kind of makes me think about like my own like patriarchal like brain and how I need to unwork that and all of those things, because it's like, why can't a mother be seen. So you know what I'm saying? Like, it's doing the thing that it's like, it's almost not a bad thing if like mommy kinks and mother are related.
Yeah.
Because it's like Lady Gaga or whoever could be doing some sexy shit and be mother and like be leading like the, or even like Charlie XCX has been called mother too, because she's like, and she is
The
big
brat
in the queer
revolution.
community, the
Yeah.
brat revolution, but being like, you know, and she talks about motherhood on her album and everything like that too, like struggling with that concept of like, do I have a baby? Do I continue to party? Like, what does it mean to be a woman? What does it mean to be a mother?
No, because it's just like, and I feel like every time we're like dissecting these trends, like I always think it's going to be bad. Like, it's just like I'm conditioned to be like, well, let's find out like what's wrong with this. But I agree. Like, is it really such a bad thing that mother is being confused with mommy kink? Because I think like the collusion like of the kink and also the like more wholesome moment like of motherhood, like it all ties into there, because even the kink itself, like a lot of people like straight up like breastfeeding, like it's like they do, it's not just
like holding you on your chest, like that's
yeah,
like a big
like
thing.
it's like a
yeah.
nurturing type of thing, which is like really wholesome, like for a kink that you might think. But I also feel you on like the patriarchal view of motherhood, because I really do look at it. It's like your life is like low-key over, because it kind of is though. And like it should be in a way. Like you can still have your hobbies, but at the end of the day, you're always just going to have your children and they're just going to be there.
But it's weird because I think about, and I feel like I've unlearned a lot about like, because I remember like growing up, like I think in a lot of ways me and my mom are like very different. Like my mom has been like with my dad since like 18, and like I went like a very different like direction. And so but I think like for a lot of like growing up, I like resented my mom in a lot of ways for like doing that role, like patriarchally. Like I'm looking at her doing it and I'm like, you are becoming like the patriarchy, you're being like, you know, like what you're supposed to do as a woman. But in reality, I think that's just me thinking more patriarchally, because I'm not seeing her power in everything that she is doing. I'm just like minimizing it. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of
like you start like you like resent her in a way, but it's like that girl boss feminism where it's like, well, why can't you like do more and like be above like what the stereotypes are? And it's like frustrating, but it's like some people are happy like that. And it's also like just the difference of generation is insane. Like if we like, you know, have kids and like all that, God willing, like I'm able to, like I can't even like what their life is going to be like is crazy. And we could never imagine like what it was like for our fucking moms in that way too. And that's why it's also like I was saying, like is sometimes like this like mother having like a mother and like a chosen family that like didn't birth you and like didn't, because no matter if they want to or not, like our moms impact us the way they grow up and they're not going to be perfect. So like I definitely have some habits that my mom has that I wish I didn't have. Like, I don't know if it's genetic. I don't know if I was like, you know, but you do kind of resent them in a way for like not being perfect
because you're half of them.
So you
it's
need
like
that like chosen family, that's why that relationship can be so powerful, and you're able to like open up to them in a new way, because they're not really your mom, but they're like your mother.
Well, especially when a lot of people have been like abandoned by their family and everything like that, and they need like someone to like look up to and like identify with them and show them how to like live and exist in this world.
And that's the other parallel where it's like that's how it is in the queer community. But I think bitches on TikTok online are also looking for someone to guide them, like Drew Afawalo, to be like, she's like, you should believe in yourself, be confident, all these things. And people are like lacking that community and true nurturing in their actual relationships, that they put it out there online. And again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's like there are a lot of parallels, even if people aren't giving credit to exactly where the word came from. It's all kind of about this like community and like nurturing thing, all of it.
Well, yeah, and it's like generationally, it makes sense because our generation is so fucking different than like we said, like our parents' generation. I mean, just technology and social media being introduced has changed so fucking much. And then also like under Donald Trump's presidency and everything like that right now, like I think a lot of us are just like looking for some sort of like guidance, something that like sometimes like our real family, like our real mothers like can't always provide because like it's a different generation. Like they don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
And you need that like different community. Yeah, especially right now. It's like people feel so alone. Like they don't know what to do. And that's why like I feel like it really makes sense that like even though mother and mothering has been around forever, that it's taking off right now because people are seeing like more the beautiful versions of motherhood and like how they're leaders and can like lead community, bring you together and things like that. And also I think people do have mommy kinks more than they'd like to admit. And this article talks about, as I just said, like they're commenting step on me mommy, but they're probably not saying that to their like to their real relationships, you know, because the rise in parasocial relationships is like crazy too. Like I wonder if that's why we're also not as connected with like our real lives, because like a lot of people, like the celebrities they worship, like they feel like if they were to like die or like stop posting, it's like their life would be over or something. And like I've felt that in the past about people too. Like I definitely idolize people fucking hard. But we can't put them on a pedestal too. You can't do it too much.
Right.
Okay, and lastly, the article says, if it is the tip of a wave, it could be helpful because allowing mothers to be sexy in general can only be a good thing. But I think if it remains a taboo, then that almost reinforces the kind of negative sides of it, meaning like mommy kinks shouldn't be a taboo. They should be looked at more positively and all that.
Right.
Because it's so easy to be like, oh, daddy, like that's so hot. Like, why does mommy feel a little bit like, ooh, like incest? What?
Yeah, like daddy feels
sense.
like it's so easily sexualized.
Yeah.
But like mommy
Did you
does
call your
feel
dad
like
daddy like growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
And I called my mom mommy. Like,
right,
yeah.
me too. I know, exactly. So it's, and that's like misogyny for sure. Being okay with daddy, but mommy's like pushing it a little too far for you.
Right.
Like, what does that even mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I guess I could maybe be into it, but it does feel more incestual than daddy does. Daddy just feels like, I don't know.
I feel like daddy has been around longer too. Like even when you think about call her daddy and like when the daddy kink became like trending and like more popular, it was like when we were like younger versus like it's newer for like mom
and like the sexualization
mommy.
Of like daddy, like we really just look at daddy as like dick to fuck, not like, oh, they provide for their family, because they don't.
Yeah, because that's more like father. Like I don't know, we don't say like father, oh my god, he's giving like father, like.
But even in like no, I don't think so. Like I've said like, oh, like he's giving boyfriend, but never father. Like that's fucking crazy. But even in like the queer ballroom like houses that the mothers were in, there was also like house fathers and like house uncles, how we talked about too. So it's like it's definitely roped in there. But I don't think fathering would ever like pop off the way mothering is. Like it really does feel political, like especially with the abortion stuff. Like it's crazy. Like the timing of everything and the irony and like the echo chambers. Like, and if you don't think critically, you're just like, oh my God, calm down. Like we're just commenting mother, like relax. But like this is fun for us to think about. But it's like,
especially when you think about the communities that it comes from, like the marginalized communities, like the Black community, the queer community, like Black revolutionary thought, like we took that class in college, or even like queer revolutionary thought, like they are like queer and Black people see the world in such a different way because of like the position that they sit in and the obstacles that they have to like overcome being underprivileged. So it's like, of course, like it only makes sense for those communities to like see the same ways in which mothers are also like discounted and not given like the esteem and the like worship and everything that they deserve, and then like re-implementing that and like flipping the meaning to make it something that's like beautiful and like worshipped.
And like connection and community is survival. Like it's not a privilege. It's not like, oh, I just want to like be around my friends. It's like literally to survive, and like having a mother to like guide you on that journey was like survival and like really fucking deep for people. But yeah, and just to finish us off with this last quote, from this other article. They said the mothers and fathers who were at one point referred to as my old lady or the old man, and who today are seen as the ultimate in what young people aspire to be. So just that ageism piece is really, really cool too. So that brings us to the wrap up part of our episode where we talk about things we're wet, dry, and still maybe a little confused about the topic. I will go first. I feel like I'm definitely wet about like the intense history that we've learned about, okay? As I mentioned, I think history is really boring. I know it's important in order for us to move forward and things like that. But exactly, it's like in the education system, history's fucking boring as fuck. Nobody gives a fuck. I'm sorry. Like, it's ridiculous.
Because we're learning about all old white men, and that's it.
And it's there, and it's all just like a bunch of drama, low-key. Like, it's literally just like stories passed down drama. Like, it's, so, but I was definitely wet about like learning all about this and just like, and I even forgot to bring this up, but like kind of how the house mothers of strip clubs, like the parallels of that, and that sort of just like mothership figure that's not like a blood relationship. I was just wet about learning about how intense and important those relationships can be for folks that are trying to survive out here in our racist, transphobic, homophobic world. And I'm also wet about realizing that like maybe it's not that bad that mother is spreading around on the internet. I feel like we've come to a clear decision that the only reason why it's fucked up is because it's not credited and not enough people know the history behind the word, and how like important it is to people and to the Black queer community and things like that. But other than that, like we've decided that like it's okay, you know, and like mommy kinks and all of that, like definitely wet about that. Like I think like even just like thinking about Kaylani and like some of Drew Afualo, I'm like, yeah, they are mother to me, you know? And it's like, it's also like these slang terms. It's like, it is hard to kind of like really describe what it means because it's so open-ended and it could mean anything from like looking good to like doing something good for the community or whatever. And that's why it's kind of like hard and it like hurts my brain to dissect. But like, I feel like it is just like an energy, like it's an overall feeling of what it is. And I'm wet about that. And I'm wet, lastly, I'll just say on how I feel like people are looking at motherhood differently and just the term itself. And again, that's all thanks to like where the word actually came from, like from the Black queer drag ballroom community, like in the 1960s, the 1880s, like that's where it all comes from. And that's why people are able to like be cool now, you know, like it's all thanks to them. So,
yeah, I'm definitely wet about learning about the roots of mother and like drag and ballroom culture. I think I'm like, especially because I knew it came from there, but I didn't necessarily think about how deep it is with like your chosen family and like learning, coming into your own identity as a queer person, doing drag, all of those things as a transgender person. So I think like learning about the terms of weight, I'm just like very, very wet about. And also how the weight of the term, and also about how the queer community like loves to flip these like gendered terms and put like patriarchal, things that are traditionally seen as like lower as up higher. Like I don't know how to phrase that well, but like, you know, reclaiming the power of what it means to be a mother, what it means to have family, and the deep ties to community too. I feel like especially right now, we need community. Like what the fuck is going on in America, like politically, and just like we're all on our phones, like people aren't like gathering as much. Like I was thinking about that the other day because a couple of my friends came to the pool and we had like a cute little like cookout and like swim and stuff like that. And I was just thinking like I'm so grateful that I do have like friends in Atlanta and like people to meet up with like in person that I can like talk to. And like one of my best friends, Sean, like we started working out together, and I'm like, I just love that I have friends that I can like be healthy with. And this is my chosen family because like, you know, I don't have family in Atlanta. Like these are the people that I spend my time with.
I was just gonna say that like people that like move cities, like I literally moved across the world. Like I fucking knew no one here.
Yeah.
And already like I'm so picky with like who I spend my time with, and I also like have depression and isolate myself. Like it's fucking hard. But like in the moments that I do get that, I'm like, it's good, but it's not the same as like with you though. Like
it's
I
finding
need
your
you.
people.
Yeah.
It's finding your people that you click with, and that's really hard. I mean, I've had a lot of friends that like I thought were like my community, like my people, and then they weren't, because like we just didn't. It's so hard to meet people that just understand you and you click with and help you like, you know, grow as a person, learn like better things about yourself.
Right.
Like I'm so grateful that I have you and my best friend Sean in my life, and then also like the people that we were hanging out with, it's like we're misfits in some ways too, you know, like I was hanging out with another girl that was a stripper and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, like all these people that like have family issues or don't live around their family, and like the chosen family of it all, I'm just thinking about really deeply. A community has been on my mind.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I'm really wet about in terms of this whole episode is just, I think the term mother, like honestly, when it's used correctly and like we're giving credit to the Black and queer communities that came up with this term, like I think it is a huge compliment to be called mother. And I think we need more mothers in that sense, like right now. So like the people that are using it correctly, and I think like even just doing this episode, taking the time to learn about it, the people that are listening to this episode, like I challenge you guys to like find a mother, be a mother in a community and like, you know, like actually like do, because we can like take a lot of influence from like what those communities have done, and we need that like so much right now. So like building that. And the mommy kinks too. Like I'm pretty wet about them. I don't know if I have a mommy kink. I don't really think so. But like,
yeah, I don't think you do.
I'm here for it.
I don't think I think I could dabble in like just about anything except for like peeing and whatnot. But
I think I could dabble in that, just not the the Dubai experience. I think I could for money. Like I think I could.
Oh, but like
I honestly like it's grown on me. In the shower, maybe? Like, I think I could.
What? This is so news to me, babe. Okay,
I know.
go on. I mean,
because I've been getting into degradation more. Yeah. Like, I don't know, you know?
Yeah. I don't know, but for money is different. Like, they're like, yeah, of course. Like, they're with the right number.
It has to be clean. It has to be, like, hydrated. Like, clean.
Like, just drank so much fucking water, bitch. But last thing I'll say too is like, and this I guess is kind of on the dry side, but we talked about how like we look at moms like superheroes, right? And it's like when someone's like mothering, it's like they have big shoes to fill. Like you have a whole community of parasocial children that are like rooting for you. And that's why like a lot of like influencers, like I think about Drew Offwell a lot in this episode just because people call her mother so much.
And you saw her as mother in certain ways.
Right. I know. And only saying past tense because I used to have like an unhealthy obsession with Drew a little bit and had to learn that like I don't know her, like she's not perfect, and I do that with everyone that I like, and like even with you and like my mom, like I'm like perfect, like they are perfect because I'm just so happy with like having you in my life that like you are perfect to me, but you're not. And then it's like when we get into a fight or have a disagreement, it hurts even more because I'm like, no, like
how could this person be flawed?
like you exactly. So it's just like, yeah, and that's why she said pass. Like, I do still think Drew is mother, but it's unhealthy for her to be my mother at the moment in time. But yeah, but it's like, it's big shoes to fill. And it's like, I do think we shouldn't look at moms as superheroes just because, like, they're not. Like, they're fully, you know, flawed individuals. And I guess I'm just dry, too, about how, like, everything really is AAVE. And it's like, I just feel like I've looked really stupid in the past and, like, maybe even currently with, like, some of the things that I catch myself saying. And, like, it's an everyday thing to really check yourself because, like, we are, like, parrot-like creatures, and when things trend, you just say it. Like, bro, I will never forget, like, my little sister is the one that put me on to, like, oh, you ate. I, like, didn't really understand. Like, I did, but and now I can't stop fucking saying it. And I'm like, calm down. I literally say it all the time. And I'm like...
And that's another one that comes from, like, queer and Black.
So it's like, it's exactly. So
But in a lot of ways, like, I feel like it's bad to use the language, I don't know, and I can't even say because I'm not part of the Black and queer community, but looking at it, it's like we've made whiteness and white culture and white ways of speaking the only like proper okay language, blah blah blah, for so long that I think it's kind of like revolutionary in a lot of ways that like the top influences right now are queer and Black language. Right. It's just we need to acknowledge it.
Yeah, that's the problem. Exactly. Like it doesn't all have to be dry. Like that, like yes, and they always have been the top influences. Right. And it's like, but when you don't acknowledge it and no one's acknowledging it, and just like the article talked about, it's like you have to own it. Like you can't pay homage to it or whatever that saying is. Like you have to own it and then be like, this is our word, like we're running with it. And that's why the Taylor Swift thing just doesn't feel good, especially because of some of the things she's done, the white feminism of it all. Like it does really give me the ick. Like that is off-putting to me, like especially now after educating myself. But I feel like that's all we can do is just continue to educate ourselves. And like I feel like if we didn't have this podcast, I wouldn't be so curious about where slang words come from. But we were just talking about, like, we're very interested in language right now and, like, where slang words do come from. And every single time it's from Black queer people. Like, every episode that we've done, we've investigated every single time is that conclusion. And, yeah, it's something to be wet about, but we need to do a better job of acknowledging it and, like, spreading that around.
I think for dry, I'm just reflecting on the ways that like I've seen motherhood and like older women and like mommies and like all of that in my life, and even like how they relate to community, and I'm just kind of like mad at myself in a lot of ways. I think like over the past couple years, as I've like become more of a woman and like live alone and like am doing things, I like catch myself being like, oh, like I'm only the way I am, like, thank God to my mother and the women in my life who have, like, taught me how to be this way and all of that stuff. But, like, I still think, like, it's a constant, like, it's not just, like, we talk about all the time, like, patriarchy and men, but it's not just, like, them. It's, like, us, too, and what we've learned and what's in our own brains and what we think about women and mothers and everything like that. So I'm just, like, thinking about the ways that, like, you know, like motherhood I need to put it on more of like a pedestal without like not seeing this mother as like human.
Right.
Because I in a lot of ways, I think your life ends when you become a mother. But then at the same time, I have friends who are mothers who still, you know, go out and have a good time and party and still can have like casual sex and like live their lives. And I think that's just a very narrow-minded way, patriarchal way of thinking about things. And I don't know why I think about it that way. Yeah. You know, but like I like considering. Right. Right, exactly. But I like considering that like, okay, like mothers are like human and they're like doing this like huge important roles for communities. They're building communities. And when I say mothers, like I don't just mean like biological like mother, like women or queer people or femmes that are like leading, you know?
Yeah, because another beautiful thing is like mother in this sense has nothing to do with childbirth, and like that's the biggest stereotype is like because like whatever, you get it. So but for confused, I feel like the biggest thing I'm confused about is just the whole social media and language thing, and I feel like we're going to continue to talk about that on this podcast for sure, and like how words can spread, and it's like that telephone game where like it ends up completely losing the meaning. And I think in this case, we figured out that there's a lot of positives to the situation, but sometimes I think it can be like really bad, you know, as we've seen with like previous trends and things like that. But yeah, other than that, I feel like the only other thing I'm confused about is like similar to your dry is like why I'm so terrified of getting old. And like, I know why I am, but like, I feel like what you're saying too is it's not just the men. Like I have to actively like unlearn why I think that, you know, too, because then it's like, how can I be mad at men for like only thinking women below a certain age are like attractive and like breedable or fucking
when
whatever.
I low-key think it too.
When I low-key think it too. Exactly. Like how can you be mad at them? You can't. So it's like you got to start there for sure. But that's one that I'm like, the patriarchy has a hard grip on me because I am scared of getting old and like looking old. Like it's scary. And I'll never forget my first girlfriend. Like when we were in Europe, one of our professors was like, this older woman, and like my girlfriend had like some type crush on her. Like you can't control it, like whatever. Like she had taken other classes with her. Like I was definitely really fucking jealous because she liked her, like was crushing. And like low key, one time we were like walking by something and I stopped to look at myself in the reflection of like the window or whatever. And that woman, the older professor, turns to me and goes, you know, you're not going to be so young and beautiful forever. And I was like, okay.
That's kind of mean, though.
It was so mean because she wanted my girlfriend. I swear to God.
Right.
I swear
And
to God.
she was like jealous.
I was like,
in a way.
like, sorry. I'm like, yeah, but I guess she meant it in like, don't be so like full of yourself. You're not always gonna have that. But fuck, I just looked at myself real quick.
But like, okay, I'm appreciating
but
it. But
low-key, that comment is gonna stick with me forever because I was like, yeah, I know. And I'm scared of that. So thank you so fucking much. Like, thanks.
Right.
Anyways.
Yeah, that's like mean.
Yeah.
I'm confused about the same sort of stuff. I mean, like, I'm confused about, motherhood in general, whether like I want it or like how I feel about it and like how to unlearn some of the messaging. I think in a lot of ways it's good. I think this is like decentering men in a lot of ways too, like putting like
totally
mothers on pedestals.
Men.
Right, like emphasizing like the mother, like all of that. But I'm confused. I think about like the whole AAVE thing, like giving credit and all of that, because I feel like it's like we can come to that conclusion, but like I still am always going to question, like as white people, it's like, do we really know like what's okay and like what's not? And like I think like I can do a better job of like taking guidance from like Black and queer people when it comes to that.
And I think everyone just feels differently about it too, you know?
Yeah,
like there's not, like,
exactly.
one all be all, yeah.
Yeah,
like it's
exactly.
really fucking tricky. It's a hard thing to navigate, but it's like really fucking important to be aware of and be thinking about it, you know?
Yeah. I guess I'm also still confused about like the Madonna horror complex thing going on and like mothers being seen as like sexual and like when it's a mommy kink versus when it's like a mother kink. But the last thing I'm confused about is just the whole like Madonna horror complex and like seeing mothers as like sexual and like why we separate that and like whatever, which is also still kind of the same thing as unlearning patriarchy and gendered language and like how we see women and mothers in society.
But that about does it for this episode, guys. So please let us know if you liked it. If you're on Spotify, you can follow us and also rate us. Same thing goes for Apple. If you would rate us, that would make us so happy. You can subscribe on YouTube and also leave a comment below if you want to add to the conversation or just share any thoughts. And make sure you're following us on Instagram at So Wet So Dry. The O's are zeros. We post polls for every single episode that we put out for upcoming weeks. And we also post on TikTok at So Wet So Dry. The O's are zeros there too.
Yes, we also have listener support. It's $9.99, $4.99, or 99 cents a month. It is in the bottom of the description of every single episode, no matter what platform you guys are listening on. And we love you guys so much. We will catch you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.